What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, this literally does not work. I wanted to actually watch the Mike McCarthy press conference to see maybe if we can get some insight on where we are with Ceedee Lamb after Ceedee Lamb ended up posting the picture of him with Spider-Man. So let's go to him. He's about to come to the podium right now and see if we get any insight. This is live.
Yeah, disguised it well.
For a guy that's
Good
on the hot seat,
afternoon.
he still seems happy.
Good. How's your energy? Good. I can tell. I can feel it.
Hey, Mike. David Moore, Dallas Morning News. A lot of guys to ask you about, but just a couple of veterans, Booth and Phillips, who weren't here too long, but kind of wound up playing more than maybe you thought.
Yeah, definitely. It was good to get him in there. Obviously, Andrew, we wanted to play him. That was a plan to play him a lot more this week. I kind of gave him last week to just get acclimated. So, but yeah, it was good video for those guys, and obviously with Phillips, just really. I don't even know I can use the word acclimated. So, but no, obviously they've both been in camps, so I mean there was no concern as far as their longevity or anything like that, conditioning wise.
Clarence Hill, Star Telegram. What's the plan for Mozzie today? Can you talk about how update us on how he's doing? And
yeah, Mozzie's he's progressed through his
That's
situation. I'll let him speak on it if he cares to. But we're in a mock game today, so he's scheduled to participate. But we'll see how he checks out here coming out of the meetings.
Mike Todd Archer with ESPN. Lawson's now here. You kind of go through a ramp up. How you get him acclimated to everything out here after not being around?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just really got to see him work first. There's always collaboration in these types of situations. Especially with a veteran. So we have a good system in place. Between Harold Nash and Britt Brown and obviously the position coaches. So we'll see how it goes this week.
He can bring you ultimately.
Well, definitely. I mean, he brings you. You got to look at his experience in his productivity. Obviously he knows the system. So I know Paul is. Gunther has a strong relationship there. So there's definitely a fit for us.
John Machado with The Athletic. With Brandon Aubrey and your comfort level with him in games, is it as high as you've ever had with a kicker, or is it even higher than that?
Really had a similar level of confidence with Mason Crosby, but Brandon's he's a different level just with his distance. I just go back to his first day here at camp, just having a chance to stand behind him and see the ball come off his foot. So. And it's just like anything in our game. We work together every day, so I get to see the consistency that he kicks with. So I mean, his ball placement and his length is outstanding.
Before games, is that kind of a thing between Brandon and Bones, or do you talk to Brandon as well, like in the distance?
No, we have a system that particularly when you play outside, we have marks that. Where we have different lines and so forth, and frankly, just with my history up north, I mean that can change 8 to 9 yards, per direction. Yeah, so that's really what that whole pregame process is for.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. After watching the tape, your thoughts on how Guyton played and how BB performed as well?
Yeah, I think both young guys. Number one, good. We got the quality reps that we were looking for. Our total plays was down just a tad, but I like what those guys are doing. So you start with Cooper. He's obviously a really good anchor in there. His tenacity he plays with stands out, but it's taking every rep at centers is different for him. So he's clearly is getting better by the day, just with the declarations and the mechanisms that are needed at that position. So I was very pleased, and same with Tyler. I mean, Tyler needs to play. I mean, he just just look at his hands and feet. Just make sure we're coordinated there, and just the specifics of how everything fits together. So, felt good about really all those guys.
Ceedee, The Athletic. Mike, your secondary seems to have a lot of depth when it comes, and Keemon Hall making the play that he did as well. When it comes to guys past that first layer, what goes into the tiebreakers for the roster decisions and things like that?
Well, you look at the whole body of work, and K'Mon is just really, I mean, he's, there's not too many days of practice that he doesn't make the highlight tape. Just his ability to get his hands on the ball. I mean, he's had some just really plays that stand out, particularly just in run support. Just coming off a block, setting edges, making plays. So, but I think we all know the answer to your question. I mean, special teams will play a big part of all these conversations. When we get to these younger players.
Along the lines of what you just mentioned, with Andrew Booth coming up, making tackles the way he did, you talk about Hall and run support as well. Is that something for corners, especially when you're a little lower on the depth chart, that you have to show that willingness?
Oh yeah, you got to tackle. You definitely got to tackle. I mean, just look at our system of defense. So, we understand the push crack and how offenses are going to play us, and it's so important for our corners to be able to come and tackle. There's a lot of check downs. There's a lot of underneath pass completions in that game. Saturday night, and then we had that one stretch here where we missed a few tackles. But other than that, I thought our perimeter, defensive guys came up and tackled well.
Brad. Mike, Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio. You're talking about special teams and young guys. Does the second kickoff returner with the new alignment give Deuce enough to do on special teams that you could spend practice time putting packages together for him, or does he have to do something else on special teams?
Well, I mean, he has to continue to stay available. I mean, that's the only thing Deuce. That's the only hurdle that he's hit this this training camp. But yeah, I mean, as a returner, I mean, he does give us value there. But I really liked the way he was, his productivity with the ball in his hands, breaking tackles and so forth. But yeah, special teams will be part of it.
Aaron Cousins, Lone Star Live. When you make the decision whether to keep 3 quarterbacks or 2 on a roster, what kind of factors go into the numbers decision?
A number of different factors. I think number one, who are the 3 quarterbacks, and obviously we have 3 that we feel very strongly about. So I mean that's a big part of it, because it's a very obviously the most important position in my view. But your whole roster too. I mean you got to look at everything that goes around. And it's I think sometimes I just have never done it this way, and I think it's just a product of always coaching young teams. I mean I don't think you're just going to have a set number of players per position. Because that's where this thing gets really challenging down at the end. And you also got to rely on your personnel department for projection of where do you think guys will end up in the big picture of things too. So all those factors will come into the 53 discussion. So.
Getting back to the roster cuts, and obviously you got 1 game left. And when do y'all start pairing? I mean, mentally, or do y'all have personnel meetings every night?
No.
Looking at that.
We're not there yet. Yeah, we're not there yet. I'll have a personnel meeting tonight, and then we met yesterday. The coaches, frankly, just went through the whole grading system just to make sure we're set for the in-season process. So that all of our guys have been graded, and I think the biggest thing is to make sure we have 2 really good padded practices tomorrow and Wednesday. That's really what's on the forefront of my mind, to make sure that we get those practices done right, done properly, and obviously Saturday at AT&T will be a big day for a lot of guys.
Running back for a second. Everybody has played in the preseason except Zeke. Have you seen everything you need to see from Zeke in practice? To evaluate him against those other guys.
Can I use the last answer for this one? No. Most important thing we need to do is have 2 really good practices Tuesday and Wednesday, and Zeke will, because he didn't play Saturday night, we'll practice a lot. So.
Mike, with Booth, what did you make of his reaction after giving up the big play? early on in that game and how he was able to maybe not let that bother him.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I saw, I didn't see a whole lot of change in his demeanor, approach, and I think just like anything, he flashed a number of times, particularly, with his tackling. So, yeah.
He played the nickel for you there. Does versatility ever become a hard thing because you don't know, is he this or that? Because he's played safety, he's played some corner for you.
Well, I think the biggest thing when you look at it is his matchup ability too. I mean, so he's a really exceptional matchup piece for us. We had him on a rep count, just coming back, off his injury. So, but his ability to play nickel, and we do have faith in him going out and playing corner. So, and obviously playing at safety. So, I mean, his matchup ability and his flexibility is an excellent asset for us to utilize, and obviously that just the way he's he has grown so much in special teams. So I'm just so proud of all the, because this guy he's a two-day guy. He's a two-day guy. I mean, he's in there throughout the day, and then he's one of the guys that's back here at night. So all the extra work's paying off.
Some teams still like to play starters.
Still nothing about Ceedee Lamb.
When did that start for you when you said, I want the young guys?
I just think like anything you have, it's injury assessment. I mean, I think, that's part of it. But also just look at our team. 3 preseason games. When you have a really young team, I mean, going back to the old days when you did play the guys, 12 to 15 in the first game, they played. They're as good as then you get up to 25 in the second game, and then you play them to the first series of the third game. I mean, there's really
new
not
channel
a lot
member.
of
Shout out to you,
younger players. So, and those are really the biggest decisions. So I think all that goes hand in hand. I know it does for me, and but also you got to make sure you get done what you need to get done out on the practice field. And I've always felt, especially coming here to Oxnard, how the quality of our practices, they're as good as I've been around in this CBA era. So the confidence that I get from our offense against our defense, the old iron sharpens iron, has been very, very evident here. We have left our training camp in a good place, each year that we've come here. So that also is part of the equation. But you got to let these younger players play, and I think week 1 to week 2 is a great example of that. We improved as a football team Saturday night against the Raiders, and then on top of it, our young players got to play against their first group. So that's an experience there in itself. It's that you can't buy, because you really normally, even like when we practice against the Rams, it's the first group versus the first group. So the fact that our young guys get as much practice as they do, how much they get to play in their games, I think it really, really helps us, make better decisions when it comes down to the roster.
After Ferguson and Schoonmaker at the top of the tight end room, how does the rest of the competition look for you? Where does it stand kind of going into this game for that final 1 or 2 spots on the roster?
Well, it's good to have Scooney back out there, because I thought he definitely improved this week. But really, Fergie's
he got a few catches in.
I'd like to see all those guys take a big step, every single one of them, because there's an excellent competition there. And I think body type wise, this is as big as a group that I've ever had, as far as the number of tight ends that can play the pure wide position. So, and that's very helpful too, because that really keeps us in line with the things that we want to do, particularly on first and second down. So I'd really like to see all those guys take a step this week.
After Ferguson and Schoonmaker, you kind of look for, okay, however many more we keep, how they fit in with their skill sets, or do you want something different? Do you want?
Well, I just want them all to improve. So I mean, we want those tough decisions, So, and they all have a particularly skill that's stands out from themselves to the others. So it's important for all those guys. I mean, all those guys need to take another step.
All right,
thank you.
Well, that was short and sweet. So we really didn't learn anything about Ceedee. Nobody. Here's the thing that's interesting. Nobody asked a single question about Ceedee Lamb. I'm curious if they went ahead and said, you can't ask questions about Ceedee Lamb. No questions about Ceedee Lamb. Because, here it is. We all have seen this cryptic, well, it's not cryptic, the Spider-Man post about, excuse me, 4 hours ago. And, my man Dak Attack said, oh, that means he's suiting up and he's back and he's on a mission, which I would absolutely positively love. I looked at it the other way and said, Ceedee Lamb is getting kind of pissed off about waiting for this thing to get done and kind of putting the Cowboys on notice, you better pay me. Now, my man Game Time Brian, he's going through and he's saying basically the Minnesota Vikings, by guaranteeing $110 million of Justin Jefferson's contract, that they kind of screwed the market up. And because the next closest one is $85 million guaranteed. But the market is what the market is. And my mind is the Cowboys are the ones that screwed this thing up. The Cowboys, if you're at your job and your company mismanages money or somebody stole all the cash and stuff out the register and they're short, you're not looking to say, you know what, I've got my part-time job as a gig worker and I can go ahead and I'll be okay. I'm going to give money back on the job and take less money from the company, to be a team player. You're not doing that. The Cowboys messed up on others' contracts. That's their mistake. I shouldn't have to be the one that pays for it. But we'll see what happens on here. So good, people. I hope to see you at 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll go through, see if there is anything about Ceedee Lamb's contract or anything else. As always, I'm Mark Holmes, and I appreciate you guys for watching and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Peace.